Hello, friends. Good evening. It is your friend LaDonna. How's everyone doing today? I want to welcome you to our little discussion about why relationships fail. We're going to have a little bit of fun today, hopefully. Well, what my fun is may not be your fun, so hopefully that you'll have some fun. Before I get started, I wanted to show you guys, I wanted to share a little bit of I want to share this flyer with you of what's going on next Sunday. And if you're in the Atlanta, Sugar Hill area, I want you to come and show up to this event. Okay, let me share it with you. I'm going to replay this video. Yay! All right. All right, you guys. It's going to be so much fun. I'm really excited to get out and meet people, and network. I have not been around a whole lot of people because of COVID, because of the lockdown, because of this, because of that. But I'm excited about this because there's going to be just people there. I want to be around people. I miss people so much. And so I'm going to be a speaker there. So if you are in the Sugar Hill or Atlanta area, come out and network, come out and meet some people and get your focus back on serving people. Okay. Also there'll be vendors there as you've seen in the video. Some nice vendors. I'll be one of the vendors. I have some journals that I have created. I have my book and I have a journal to go with my book and some water bottles and pens and that type of thing. And so it's going to be so much fun. I'm super excited. I don't know what my topic is yet. But I'm sure the Lord's going to give me something. He always works last minute with me, or how he works with me is that he makes me live it out that week or makes me live it out that month. And so that's what I'll be speaking about. But right now we are talking about relationships, y'all. Listen, whew, and this is not just about romantic relationships. This is about business relationships, ministry relationships, romantic relationships, all type of relationships. Because what I'm going to give you is applicable across the board. It's not just for romantic relationships. And so I am excited about right now. Like I said earlier, well, I didn't say it earlier, but I wasn't going to get on. I was going to cancel the event. But I need to stay committed to my word. And I want to stay committed to you guys. When I say I'm going to do something, I am going to do it. And so just bear with me if I'm stuttering, bear with me if I'm saying a lot. Just bear with me until I get into my flow, okay? And so relationships, like I said, we're talking about relationships. First of all, thank you for watching the replay. Thank you for watching the replay. Um, so relationships, there's three reasons that I believe relationships fail. And the reason why I picked these three reasons, I'm going off of my own experience and others that I've seen in relationships that have not implemented these three things, okay? Or they've implemented it and have not stuck to it. So three reasons relationships fail. One reason is this: lack of boundaries. How many of y'all have no boundaries. Let me just tell you about myself. The boundaries that I had set before 2020 was non-existent. I had zero boundaries. Okay. People could call me when they felt like it. People can pop over when they felt like it. People can ask me for money when they felt like it, and I would give it to them, and they wouldn't pay me back. And I would just keep giving it to them. My boundaries were non-existent. And so when we think about a business relationship, when we think about ministry relationship, when we think about a romantic relationship, if we don't have boundaries in place, like we won't get paid what we're worth. We'll accept anything because we don't have a boundary. We won't have boundaries for ourselves, and so we can't expect others to go by our boundaries, and so it's just a big mess. And so when you don't have boundaries, you're pretty much saying that do to me whatever you want to do to me. And you know what I found is that when women set boundaries, it's a little different from when men set boundaries. But we really, as women, we have to stick to our boundaries. What I mean by what's different is that if we stick to boundaries, we might be called mean or harsh or angry or whatever the case may be. But when men set boundaries, they seem strong leaders and that type of thing. You know what I mean? And so regardless of what we're called, regardless of what people think, we have to make sure that we set boundaries, and not only set boundaries, but stick to those boundaries and have consequences for people that cross those boundaries. And for me, because I don't like confrontation, I absolutely hate confrontation. I understand there's a point where we need to be confrontational. We need to speak up, and I'm learning to do that. But confrontation for me is a thing that I'm still dealing with because all my life I've had to deal with confrontation. And so I try to stay away from confrontation. You would think because I've dealt with it all my life that I would be used to dealing with it. But no, for me, confrontation, it triggers in me the flight or fight response. And I don't like that. Adrenaline gets to rushing. I get a headache. I get to talking fast and sweating and all these different types of things. And so um, when I began to set boundaries for my relationships, I didn't so much have to worry about that because there were boundaries in place. And in the beginning, it was hard for me to set boundaries. And it still is kind of hard to set boundaries because, well, it's not hard to set it, it's hard to stick to it because someone can come to you and they may be in an actual need. They may actually really need you, but because a boundary has been crossed already before, you can't succumb to that. You can't submit to their need again. And in this, I'm speaking about family, I'm speaking about friends, I'm speaking about even people that are in the fivefold ministry that are pastors, and their people even begin to abuse them. Even pastors have to have boundaries, okay? And so, and stick to those boundaries. And so I believe that's one reason why relationships fail, because there's a lack of boundaries. And then when you're expecting, when you don't set boundaries, you expect a person to behave a certain way. And that's not fair for the other person, nor is it fair for you. No one really knows how to treat you or how to behave around you unless you tell them, unless you set boundaries. And that's something I had to learn. No one really knows. And so when you set a boundary and that boundary is crossed, then you can then take steps and begin to understand, okay, this person might not respect me. This person might not care about how I feel about the situation. My feelings are non-existent. And so then you can move from there. But we can't expect people um, to cross an imaginary boundary that they know nothing about. Okay, so we have to take some responsibility also in this process of why a relationship may fail. We probably never set a boundary, we didn't communicate a boundary, And then on top of that, when that boundary was crossed, that person didn't know that was a boundary. And so now you're upset, you're holding it in, and they have no idea what they did wrong because you don't want to communicate the boundary that they crossed, okay? That they had no idea that they crossed. Okay. And so that can bring bitterness, that can bring resentment, that can bring anger, it can bring unforgiveness. And so we don't want none of those, no, those attitudes to set into our heart and cause strife. And so a lack of boundaries is really a relationship killer when we think about it. And so it's important that we set boundaries. And so that's number one. I'm not putting these in order. It's just the three reasons I believe. And so lack of boundaries is number one. Number two kind of goes in with lack of boundaries. Y'all, this ring light is really making me dizzy and sick. I'm gonna stop looking at it. But let me see if I can turn this down because it's a little bright. Okay. Hopefully that's not too dark for you guys, but that ring light is really bothering me. Okay. Reason number two why relationships may fail: expectations. And so we hear that things should be expected in any type of relationship, and I don't necessarily agree with that. Expectation to me means that that person has to live up to something maybe they can't live up to. And so if that's the case, well, I guess here I'm talking about unspoken expectations. Let me say that. So when we're dealing with unspoken expectations, then that is a reason why a relationship may fail, whether it be business, romantic, ministry, whatever the case may be. Like I said in the beginning, with the lack of boundaries, we can't expect people to do things and we have not discussed what we expect. We can't, we can't just think people know how to treat us. That's not true. And this is why businesses have contracts. This is why ministries should have contracts. This is why there should be a contract in a relationship, a romantic relationship. What do I mean by a contract in a romantic relationship? I mean a sit down discussion about what the boundaries are, what is expected. Unspoken expectations is another killer for a relationship. I believe when we sit down and have a discussion as a business, as a ministry, as a romantic relationship, and discuss our needs, discuss our expectations, then that person, that couple, that spouse, that business partner, that pew member, that pastor can really get to the nitty gritty of what is expected, how it's expected. It's just another way of setting boundary. And matter of fact, it is setting a boundary. That's a boundary. Expectations are boundaries. And so when we don't communicate that we have a certain expectation, we can't be upset when it's crossed. We can't be upset when that expectation is not met because it was unspoken. Okay. Unspoken expectations can bring resentment, just like not setting boundaries. Unspoken expectation can bring resentment. It can bring a lot of things. And yes, we are to forgive, but we still have to be responsible for how we want to be treated, what we expect and what the other expect. It's not just for us, it's for the party, it's for the group, it's for the couple. Okay. And so I think life would be much easier. I think marriages would still be together if people had the skills of communication, the education to be able to sit down and express how they feel, express what they feel, express what they need. Um, some people are some people are threatened with hearing a person's needs. And that has a lot to do with trauma in the childhood. Some people don't know how to say what they need. They know what they need, but they don't know how to express that because they are people pleasers. And so anything that they don't think they deserve to be treated what their expectation or boundary is. And so they won't say it. But that is a disaster for any type of relationship. And I know this because I've been through relationships where I have not communicated, the other person has not communicated, and things just kind of fell apart for the simple fact that both of us may have been people pleasers, and we didn't want to seem like we were needy. We didn't want to seem like we expect so much. But the fact of the matter is, whatever your expectations are, that's what your expectations are. That's what you need to feel safe. That's what you need to feel okay in the relationship. And so, whether it be business, ministry, or romantic relationships, if that's what you need, that's what you need. Now, there is a such thing as unrealistic relationships, and that's another discussion. But we need to get comfortable with expressing what we need. We need to get comfortable with hearing what other people need, and deciding if we want to go that route or not. And this is why it's important to sit down and communicate. I don't have communication on here as the lack of communication on here as to why relationships fail, because we all know that. We all know that if you don't communicate, then things are going to not go well in any situation. But these ones that I'm bringing out, I believe we know it, but we don't really pay attention too much to it. And so, really, what this is me breaking down little parts of communication that needs to happen. Okay, so lack of boundaries was number one. Number two, expectations, unrealistic expectations, unrealistic. And so, we can't expect people to read our minds. Women, we're good at this. We expect men to read our minds. They haven't understood us yet. They're not going to understand us, and vice versa. We don't get them, and I don't think we'll ever get them. And so, what we need to do, guess what? We need to communicate. When we can communicate, I think um, a lot of situations that occur won't happen because we've already communicated boundaries. Now, if it's an intentional breach, that's different. Then you know how to deal with that accordingly to your contract, whatever the case may be. But if they don't know, it's not intentional, and so it's your job, it's my job to put that out there, to make sure that it's clear communication. So unexpected expectations is a relationship killer, and the second reason why I'm listing that relationships fail. Okay, number three, you guys, this is not going to be too long. Number three, I have undealt with baggage. And so this is all going together. When we have been in several relationships in our lives, maybe whether it be one or two, or even if it hasn't been a relationship, even if you're a teenager, or if it's your first relationship, and you just come from a home that does things differently, a home that didn't teach you how to communicate, a home that didn't teach you that your needs were okay, then that's also baggage. And so I believe this. Now, I didn't necessarily do this because for me, I just wanted to be in a relationship and I'll deal with everything else later. But since I've grown, I understand that the baggage that we have, we're going to have it. What we have to do is know how to deal with it. What we have to do is know how to express it. And what we have to do is not brush it under the rug, because what'll happen is it'll come out in relationships with other people, with a business partner, with a romantic relationship partner, a spouse, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, or with your pastor. And a good example for the pastor is this: if you have daddy issues, you can expect your pastor to be your father, your dad, And that's not what he's there for. Pastors are there to watch over your soul. Now, some may feel like a dad, some may feel like a father, and I believe, or a mother. And you should respect them in that type of way. But we are not to idolize in any type of way anybody but God, okay? And so when we have baggage from our homes, I'm gonna just stick with that. When we have baggage from our homes that are not dealt with, it drags itself into the relationship, whatever that relationship may be. And when I say drag, when you drag something, you drag it because it's heavy. And so that's a lot of baggage. You're dragging this baggage in that you have not dealt with. And because you want to be in a relationship so bad, because you need someone next to you, because you have to lay in the bed with someone, because you need to go and have someone to do things with. And before you know it, everything that's your baggage is being burst open. The bag is bursting open, the suitcase is bursting open, and everything is exposed. And it's not good things, it's bad things that are destructive to the relationship. And so I believe that we should not get into relationships until we have dealt with our baggage. And the good thing is, you don't have to deal with this baggage in front of people. You deal with this baggage at home, you deal with this baggage in private. You get yourself together, get your soul together, submit yourself to the ways of the Lord. And this is all in private. This is not something that you broadcast to the world. That's how gracious God is. He's allowing us to get our stuff right in private, to unpack our suitcases in private, to take our clothes out and fold, wash them and fold them and put them in the closet or hang them up. He's allowing us to do that. And so until we deal with the baggage that we have, I don't believe we should be in any relationship. Not saying not a business relationship, but right now I'm speaking about romance, a romantic relationship, because that's more intimate. um, when you get into an intimate relationship, the real you becomes to come out. And you know, when you are comfortable, you be yourself, and things start showing, things start happening. I believe a lot of people, like I used to do, get into relationships and I was half, and I was looking for my other half, and that other half was the guy I was dating, or whatever the case may be. And so when you get into a relationship, it's not about half, you being half and he being half. You need to be whole in your emotions, in your soul, your mind, will, and your emotions. And he needs to be whole in his soul, his mind, will, and emotions. I've made so many mistakes um, for not being whole in my emotions and getting into things where it was just satisfying my flesh, if you understand what I mean. And that can even go with business. Like, you can be getting into business not to help people, but to just make money. And so, yes, we're into business to make money, but your business should really be about solving a problem for humanity. You know what I mean? Your heart should be in it, and that's how you know what's going to last and what's not going to last. And so, of course, we want to make money in our business. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, it can't just be about money. Okay. So when we bring our baggage into business, we can have a customer or a client that's really not healed all the way, and then we're not healed, and so they start popping off and they're unhappy with your product or your service, and then you start popping off back, and that, look at that situation. You have potentially lost a client, you have potentially lost a customer. They can go leave a review that's negative, that's bad on your site. And so it's very important that we're healed, that we're whole when we're getting into these relationships. Okay. We're not, I don't think living on this earth we're going to ever be completely healed and whole, because there is always going to be a situation that can damage you. And so it's your job to guard your heart. Yes. And so you don't want to not trust, you don't want to not get into new relationships. That's not what I'm saying. I want you to network. I want you to get into relationships. I want you to be happy just like God wants you to be happy. I just don't want any more broken people coming together trying to make a whole. No, two whole people should be together. Two whole people should be together. And so when we have baggage that we have not dealt with, like I said, baggage can be mother wounds, father wounds, um, any type of familiar family issues. Um, we need to make sure that we are dealing with that and seeking help with that before we bring another person into our lives that very well may have some baggage themselves. Okay. And I'm not saying that all your baggage should be dealt with before you get into a relationship. What I am saying is that you need to be working on it. You need to understand and acknowledge that there's some issues. You need to know that and then move forward in trying to work on that and fix that before you can get into a relationship. And so the three relationship killers that I stated is the lack of boundaries, not teaching people how to treat you, unrealistic expectations that you can't even fulfill yourself, but yet you want someone else to fulfill them. And not only that, you have not spoken about these expectations. And so it's kind of like in the dark, no one knows what's going on. Only you're the only one that knows what's going on, but yet you're in a relationship with another person. Okay, so unrealistic and unspoken expectations and undealt with baggage. Okay, undealt with baggage, baggage that you drag from relationship to relationship, thinking that the other person will fix it for you, or that maybe he or she will help you forget about it. That business may help you forget about it, but what's going to happen is that that relationship and that business and even that church is going to bring things out of you that need to be burned up anyway, that needs to be taken out of you anyway. And so these are the three relationship killers to me, the three reasons why relationships fail. And I think we need to understand that this stuff isn't going away. We can't just smile our way, make up our way, look good our way through issues. We can't just, for the fellas, cut our hair, dress nice, smell good. We can't just do that and walk through the issues just nonchalantly. We need to deal with these issues. And 2020, 2021 had added a whole new set of issues on top of the issues we probably already had in our lives. And as human beings, we're going to have issues. We're going to have things we have to deal with. It's the willingness to want to deal with them. It's the willingness to understand, yes, I have issues and I want to deal with them. I don't want to drag another human being into the things that's going on for me. And I was watching the news yesterday and I was reading yesterday and I see that Kim Kardashian and Kanye West have both already moved on and already dating other people. And it's just, for me, this is what I'm speaking about, that baggage that's there. So whatever happened in their marriage, in their relationship, they have not dealt with or haven't had time to deal with because now they're in another relationship. And so when people do that, I believe that they're just trying to forget about the situation. But the thing is, whatever broke down in that marriage with Kim and Kanye and with their new people they're dating is going to come up again in that relationship. And that's why it's important to deal with yourself, because it's not always the other person. It takes two. And so because they're in new relationships, now they're distracted. My God, I think people keep jumping in and out of relationships because they need to be distracted from the things that they don't want to deal with. People don't want to deal with boundaries. People don't want to deal with unspoken expectations. People don't want to deal with their childhood baggage. They don't want to deal with that because it's too hard. It's too much to work with. Another couple that I just saw, which is crazy, because to me they've been married forever, is Carmel Anthony and Lala Anthony. They're getting a divorce, and I guess is his name Carmel, whatever the case may be. He's now in a relationship or been in one already, and he has twins. It's like, at what point, at what time did you work on yourself so that you wouldn't destroy another person's life, or you wouldn't bring baggage into that new relationship that was the same baggage in the marriage? At what point are you going to deal with that? Because it's easy for us to keep jumping from relationship to relationship. That's super easy. It's a lot of men, it's a lot of women, and in this day and age, when people don't care about being side chicks, when people don't care about being side dudes, you can get somebody very quickly. But how is your soul, though? How is your mind, your will, and your emotions? How are you dealing with things when you're laying in bed by yourself and thinking, when you can't sleep? What's going on then? What's going on then? And so I get it. I understand why people don't want to deal with a lot of things in their lives, because it's very painful. It's painful to have to go back to your childhood and figure out, where did this come from? Where did this come from? And it's not just you. It's digging up other stuff for other people, like your parents, your brother and your sister, your cousins, whatever the case may be. But money, even money, is not going to, as we see with Kanye and Kim, money doesn't stop issues. You know what stops issues? Communication, setting boundaries, spoken expectation, and taking care of your baggage. I believe that's what stops issues. And it can stop it dead in its tracks, because at that point, you can realize and figure out if you want to deal with that person or not when there's clear communication. Okay. And so it's a difference between having clear communication and just ignoring a situation because you don't want to be alone. That's what I'm talking about. Get into a business deal because it's the first one, or you're excited about running your business. And so the person that wants to do business with you is compromised, and they don't have the same morals that you do, which is fine. You can deal with that, but you also have to be sturdy in your own. But you can't be so hard up that you're willing to compromise yourself, you're willing to compromise your morals, you're willing to compromise all your stuff for $1. We can't, that's how you know that something is wrong, when you're willing to compromise for $1. Okay. And so these famous people, these celebrities, they just don't want to deal with their stuff. They don't want to deal with their baggage. I'm almost positive that they have unspoken expectations. I'm almost positive. People in general believe that people should know how to treat people. And yeah, there is a baseline of how you should treat people with respect and caring and empathy, but we're all individuals. And so we need to tell people how we want to be treated and not be afraid to do it. And you deserve that. I deserve that. It's not a thing where you're being bossy. It's a thing that you're setting boundaries, you're standing up for yourself, and you're speaking what you need to speak. And at that point, when you do that, people can take it or leave it. And it's not being rude, but depending on how you grew up, it may feel like it's being rude, but it's not. It's just a different way of thinking. It's part of your brain that you probably haven't used. And so when we do that, I believe we'll see a difference in marriages. I believe we'll see a difference in relationships, business relationships, pastoral relationships, people in the church. I just believe, and it's really prevalent in the church, the unspoken expectations. Now, there's a guide that's left for the fivefold ministry, for the leaders in the church, on how to behave, but it's the same. Like I said, each individual is different. Yes, there's a way to treat your congregation, but each individual may need a different type of attention. And so, if that's not communicated to your pastor, that's an unspoken expectation. He has a flock, she has a flock, and so you can't expect for them to read your mind. You can't expect for them to know if you have not said anything about it. And so I think that's where we are getting things mixed up, not just in the church, but in relationships and business and across the board. We don't set our boundaries. One, we have unspoken expectations. Two, and number three, we have a bunch of baggage that we have not dealt with. Because let's say that um, you set your boundaries and you speak your expectations, and then you still have this baggage that's in your soul, these problems that's in your soul that's not dealt with. And so things are not moving as fast for you, things are not going the way you expect them to go. We also have to stick by our own expectations. We also have to stick by our own spoken boundaries. You know what I mean? And so we got to just pay attention. I think as humanity, we just like to feel good, and yeah, let's feel good. But are we growing? Are we capable of teaching the next generation how to behave? Are we capable of teaching the next generation about how to effectively communicate? Are we doing that? At what point are we going to make sure that we are the curse breaker in our family? At what point are we going to do that? And so I don't want to go too deep with that. I just wanted to share these three reasons why I believe that relationships fail. And I think that one more thing, I think it also has a lot to do with emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is being able to understand others, emotional intelligence is being able to empathize with others, emotional intelligence is being able to not react, but to be proactive. And so that's what emotional intelligence is. And a lot of us are reactive, us meaning the human race. And so that is the end of my rant for today, my teaching for tonight. I'm so proud that I got on here and did this, because I was like negative 1 second away from saying forget it and canceling it. But the more I do it, the more I get proud of myself for sticking to my own word. And it feels really good. Again, I thank you guys for watching the replay. I thank you for coming on with me. Um, Again, if you're going to be in Atlanta, Georgia, or Sugar Hill area, go get your ticket. It's $25. The vendors are going to be amazing. The speakers are amazing. The event host, Prophetess Deidre, is absolutely anointed. And so I want to see you guys there. It's only $25. If you can't get there, maybe donate a ticket to somebody else that may need to be encouraged, that may need to be empowered to get up and move to their next level. Maybe you can do that, and you can, all the details are on the flyer that I showed you. You can go on my Facebook page also. You will see all the details. So try to make it there. I don't know if she's streaming it live or not, but anyway, I'm excited to go. I'm excited to meet and touch and hug some people. I'm just really excited for that. And so I want to thank you again for watching. Watching me. I'm LaDonna Nelson, your friend, your best friend, on 3 reasons why relationships fail. Thank you so much. Y'all have a good night, okay? And I will see you sometime this week or next Saturday. Bye-bye.